For a really long time, I used to struggle with maintaining my interest in households while playing The Sims. I would play through the first generation of a new legacy and then get bored, or sometimes I would even drop off from playing within a few days or hours in real life. A lot of the time, this was caused by a sense of overwhelm while playing, because when you have a lot of packs installed, there are so many options for what you could do that I would often find it unconsciously easier to not make a decision at all and to stop playing entirely. This happened regularly until I came up with my never done before list. Creating this list has helped me to never get bored in The Sims 3 in particular, and to stick with households for much longer than I did in the past. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how to create this super simple and really helpful resource for yourself, how to integrate it into your gameplay, and I'll be sharing parts of my own list to give you some inspiration along the way. As a quick note, what I talk about today could easily be transferred to use in The Sims 4 or other Sims games, but I'll mainly be focusing on The Sims 3 today. With that out the way, let's get into it. So first, the never done before list is honestly as simple as it sounds. You just jot down aspects of gameplay you've either never experienced or maybe not delved into for a really long time. This could range from careers, especially ones with multiple branches, regular skills, hidden skills and side activities, worlds you've not explored, or even lots you want to visit more, and everything in between. The purpose of this is to have a bank of ideas that you can quickly draw on while playing The Sims 3 when you feel a little bit bored and like your inspiration is waning. I can find this happens around the times when you add new Sims to your household and when it may not be obvious what to do with them right away for whatever reason. However, you can also use this list as a space to not just note down gameplay aspects you've never tried before, but also to build out potential character sheets, quote unquote, for Sims that draw on a handful of gameplay bits as well as storyline beats. You can pull on these more fleshed out ideas when you feel a bit overwhelmed by choice. I found that this list really works for me because it helps me manage my decision fatigue. Instead of having to come up with all new ideas on the fly, which can be quite tough sometimes when you just fancy having a chill time with your Sims, you have this resource which houses a ton of ideas for when you really need them. So how do you actually put together this list then? It should be fairly simple and it doesn't need to be this big formal thing, but I'd suggest starting your list in a place, whether that be digital or physical, that you regularly access, so you'll 1, be reminded to check in with it every so often and to keep it up to date, and 2, so hopefully it won't get lost. As my life would be chaos without Notion, this is where I decided to create mine. This means that I can also access the list across all of my devices, so if an idea pops into my head while I'm out and about, I can add it while on the go. Most importantly though is what you obviously put in the list. You might have a few ideas of things you've not tried in The Sims 3 that are just floating off the top of your head. Say if you've bought an expansion pack recently that you've not fully dived into yet, for example. However, I find looking through wikis or sites like Carl's Guide a handy reminder to myself of features that came with the base game and all the expansions I already have that I might have forgotten about. Watching pack review videos and let's plays can be a great help for this too, again for looking at pack specific features, but also for getting ideas from other players who have combined gameplay aspects and storylines while looking across DLC as well. As for how to organize these ideas, I have my list split into a very few loose subsections. First, I have my big brain dump area where I just jot down gameplay features that I either haven't touched before or for a while. Then I have 2 other sections where I'll start to draw these features together along with personality aspects like a Sim's traits to create more well-rounded ideas that can be grafted onto Sims as I'm playing. These range from ideas which are admittedly a little bit generic or stereotypical to more developed ideas which have a little bit more nuance. Again, your mileage will vary with this a bit depending on what packs you have, but you might also want to break ideas for potential future Sims into those which fill the quote-unquote main character spot and also the side hose. In this, you might want to reserve more active aspects like traveling, going to university, active careers, or work from home careers for those Sims that you want to spend a lot of time with, versus the spare Sims, which if you're playing a legacy challenge, for example, could be the spouses or the children you don't intend to be the heir, etc. These will be the more passive ideas that you don't have to spend too much time micromanaging and stuff like that. I've kept the organization of this list fairly simple and loose, as I mentioned, but I've been thinking about redesigning it to be in a table where I can tick off ideas that I've done and in which household. So if you love a spreadsheet, maybe that's the route you'll want to go down. However, However you choose to design it though, I think the biggest thing to remember overall is that this list is not a one and done situation. It's a work in progress and a tool to be revisited regularly. And really quickly, if you're enjoying the video so far, I'd be really grateful if you dropped a like or even subscribed to the channel, as only about 5.9% of my viewers are subscribed at the moment. Doing this, as well as liking the video and watching to the end, tells YouTube's algorithms that my content is worth showing to more people, which is a huge help. Enough with my spiel though, let's move on to talk about how to actually integrate this list into your gameplay once you've got it started. So to start, if you have some general activities in your list of things you've never explored, you could have a sim who has adjacent skills or related traits pick them up as a side hobby. Say for example, you have never really played around with snowboarding, which is a hidden skill introduced with the Seasons pack. That isn't really a whole lot to build a sim's entire personality around. However, it could be a great hobby for sims who are already into fitness and loves the outdoors. Next, how do you work in those more developed ideas? If you have a new sim just be born, you might decide to mold them into one of the items on your list if you are hankering to play in a certain style, or if you prefer randomizing traits and stuff like that. You might notice a sim picking up some traits and skills that would mean that they would fit one of the ideas on your list later in their life. This could be the case if you bring a townie into your household and you want to play around with their current trajectory a little bit while sticking true to their personality, especially if they feel like a bit of a blank slate. Whichever way you go, remember that just because you wrote something down, it doesn't mean that it's set in stone. What starts off as a broadly defined idea will often be fleshed out and refined as you play, as sims in the household and random events occurring in gameplay will shape the direction that you might want to go in. As a quick example from my own gameplay, I have somewhat recently started a legacy save where my aim is to give Lolita Goth the life that she deserves. If you're unfamiliar with Lolita, she is a very mysterious sim who is actually buried in the Goth family graveyard in Sunset Valley, but I've resurrected her and moved her over to Monte Vista. Anyway, Lolita's girlfriend, Florence Taylor, who is a Monte Vista resident, recently moved in and she felt quite two-dimensional. She was in the science career, but I don't know, I just got the sense that it wasn't really the right fit for her. So an idea on my list was to have a celebrity chef, as I've never really played with a sim who's gotten to the top of the cooking career. As Florence is a green thumb and a natural cook, I thought this idea would be a perfect fit for her. As I also don't often actively lean into the celebrity system introduced with Late Night, I also want her to get as high up the celebrity star system as possible and to complete lots of celebrity focused opportunities, as I often just ignore them in my regular gameplay. As Lolita is a writer as well, I thought it could be quite cool to have her eventually ghostwrite cookbooks for Florence. I often don't have my sims get into conflict as well, so if I'm feeling a little bit chaotic, I might have Florence start a bit of a rivalry with Gino Ferrari, who is the most famous chef in Monte Vista and potentially connected with Chef Gino from the My Sims universe. But with that, I hope that this video has inspired you to come up with your own never done before list in The Sims 3. It really has been instrumental in helping me avoid getting bored in the game and for just finding long-term fulfilling gameplay. My question of the day for you is, what idea is going to be on the top of your list if you are making one? If you fancy sticking around, check out this video on the screen here, which talks more about creating a legacy save in The Sims 3 with intention. But other than that, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you again soon.